What's going on, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Challenge Accepted. I'm Thomas, and I'm here with Frank and John.
Hey,
Hey everybody.
hey.
Yeah, and so I'm only back for this week before I am back out, probably for another month. But, ooh boy, am I excited that I'm back for this one because this episode was incredible. Oh, at least for
How
me.
impactful was this episode of Ahsoka in the grand universe of Star Wars?
Probably one of the biggest.
Right? I'm trying to think of it's on par with so many things. I personally think it's setting up Ahsoka to be our next Luke Skywalker or main character for. I thought it was gonna be Mandalorian. I thought it was gonna be Mando, Din Djarin, and now I'm thinking no, it's Ahsoka going forward.
Yeah, I almost feel like she's gonna be Obi-Wan to Sabine's Luke.
You think
I
Sabine?
feel
Okay, yeah.
yeah, and then which we'll get into it, but that's my one thing with this episode is we still don't know if they're closer to redeeming Sabine from giving away the star map, or if she's because right now she's still at Star Lord at Infinity War, and I
Yeah.
want to see what happens with her at Star Lord at Endgame because she's very much Infinity War right now.
Yes.
Like I want to kick her ass.
Oh my god. For a reminder, that's when Star Lord ended up punching Thanos when they almost had his mind controlled and could have just not snapped everybody. And then Star Lord did that. We all hated him for a year or so until Endgame came around. And very much Sabine, I'm like, just shoot the orb and finish this whole thing off. Nope. She's like, oh, I gotta find Ezra again. He's cute.
Yeah,
So
and
Yeah.
we've seen that it's that love, the fear of losing love that corrupts. So she's so
Yes.
easily corruptible where she is right now. It's
Yes,
like I
Jonathan.
want to see her just go dark, just go full dark and have to fight your way back.
Ooh,
Then
that's
Ezra could be the one that
good.
brings her to the light side again. I'm liking that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we also saw Ahsoka almost go a little dark too.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
And then in this episode, it's fully her confronting what type of Jedi, or I guess Force user, maybe by the end, Jedi,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
And
what she wants to be.
I think it kind of tiptoes on the fact that like it's not always just one or the other too. Like everybody has a little bit of rage in them sometimes, even if you're good, and even people who have rage can come from a good story and good experience and have good in them, like we're seeing in Anakin, kind of showing both sides of him. That scene though with them fighting with the lightsabers reminded me so much. I mean, it's not a one for one comparison, but the vibes especially of the finale of Avatar: Last Airbender,
Mhm.
where Aang almost loses, is almost consumed by
Oh.
the darkness pretty much, and then he overcomes it in the last minute. It's like, oh man, it makes me want to watch Avatar all over again.
Few shows have made me cheer so hard into the end like that. It's so
Right.
freaking epic.
I don't,
God.
yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I tried so hard not to pause this every 10 minutes to be like, oh, you know,
Oh,
like
dude.
do the pointing beam and like
Yeah.
not freak out. And
My dog was avoiding me. Like, what's going on with Papa? He's so weird right now. Yeah, it was amazing. And I was really excited, by the way. I want to throw this out there because I was watching it on a Tuesday at 6 p.m., which is apparently when the show's been coming out this entire damn time. I thought that was
yeah,
just the first day. And so I've been waiting, no joke, till midnight to watch them.
I know. You texted me. You're like, "Did you know they could be coming out at 6?" I was like, "Yeah, dude. Like, I thought we talked about this."
We did,
in
but I thought it
week
was the
one,
first
but-
episode. I didn't know all of them were that. Oh, my
Oh,
God.
that's funny. That's
They're
funny.
staying up late
Hey,
and stuff.
the
Oh, my
show's
God.
commitment to your craft here that you are waiting till midnight every time.
Yeah.
One of the best to do it, Frank. Just man, kudos. But I kind of want to start off at the beginning of this episode because it's so good that we get to see Hera show up,
Hmm.
and guns pulled. She's kind of a little skeptical, and you come around the corner, and we see Hu Yang, played
Yeah.
by David Tennant. Oh God, that scene already, just to start the vibe of the episode. Like
Yes.
David Tennant is killing it as Hu Yang, but like that set the tone for the episode so well. What did you guys think about that?
Is this the most dramatic droid we've had in Star Wars? Because I can't really think of one that's like really carried. It's funny because we also have Chopper, who's the other side of this.
You're
coin.
right.
Like
That's
he
what
also
I
has a
was
very
gonna
big
say.
personality as well. But like David Tennant, I truly feel bad for this robot. It's crazy.
So
He
much attitude.
plays such an actual engaged character where the other droids, I mean, I guess they are engaged, they are part of the story, but they aren't a character that you can like interact with or you really care about their character development so much.
He still
Yeah.
delivers some lines flat. So like when they first find him around the rock, like he sounds sad. But later
Mhm.
on, when Jason's talking to him, like, "Can you teach me or something like that? Like train me." Clearly, Jason's very force sensitive. We know that he's
Mhm.
Kanan's son. And then he says, "No, I won't be," or whatever. the way he says it's flat, but you almost kind of pick up on a thing like, oh, he knows something. He knows somebody else is going to train him. Will it
Mhm.
be Sabine? Will it be Ahsoka? Will it be Ezra? Like, hopefully it's Ezra. But yeah, it's just kind of so much loaded in that one statement.
Absolutely. Yeah, just the whole time, like for me, I'm like David Tennant and Hugh Yang is like my new favorite droid.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about you guys, but I kind of hated Chopper through Rebels.
Oh,
So
really?
so it's funny when you're saying like Chopper did have the most attitude I think of
Mhm.
any droid up until that point. Now I think Hugh Yang tops him, and I'm so happy it's David Tennant because
Yeah.
he's just yeah, he kills it. Oh man,
I'm
kills
so
it.
glad we covered Good Omens right before this too, because that kind of
Yeah.
helped out spice that up a little bit.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
go
I don't know if
back and
you've seen
listen to
Good
that
Omens,
one.
but you got to watch Good Omens, man. So good.
Is that another series?
It's a series
Oh,
on Amazon Prime. Yeah, and it's about an angel and
Okay.
devil that are like, or angel and demon that have been
Oh,
sparring throughout time. Yeah, I think I
yeah.
told you about
top
it.
tier
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman, top
Yes.
tier. So we
Uh,
get to the world between worlds, right?
yes. There's all kinds of questions we have to ask here, but let's first talk about the cool things that are in this. Let's not ask any of the questions yet. Clearly, this conversation between a master and a Padawan, the fact that he's calling her Snips again, like in Clone Wars, it's pulling on all the nostalgia factors. As a millennial, you guys have got to be like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted.
Oh yeah. Since the Clone Wars, I mean, it just feels so much like the Clone Wars, but live action now.
Hmm.
And with that being said, like one thing that blew me away, and I wonder, this is now past the world between worlds. But when you first see Ahsoka as that little kid in the first memory of
Hmm.
like the first episode of Clone Wars that she's in,
Yeah.
doesn't it hit so much harder when you realize like I've always known Ahsoka was a kid, but
Right.
seeing it in live action is
As a
like,
little
oh my
kid.
God, she's a little kid in a full blown war. People are dying around her, getting shot, blown up. And she's like expected to just carry on and they're calling her commander. Like it hit me so much harder watching it in this episode than it ever did in Clone Wars. Did you guys, I don't know, what do you
What'd
think
you
about
think,
that?
Jonathan? I know you and me both watched that movie, went to the theaters to watch it. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think that was impactful, like you're saying. I didn't watch like the animated series very much. I'm actually just now starting to watch Rebels, which has been great so far. Now that I'm giving it a good shot. But yeah, I think it's hard to tell with animation the age of a character in
Right.
general. So to like they would have to have her acting more childlike, but at the same time she's taking on such responsibility. So it's hard to really gauge her age as a little kid in an animated series. But to see her there, she's so tiny and looks so, innocent and frail. And so, yeah, her in the middle of a battlefield, it's, pulls on the heartstrings for sure.
This mission is the first mission that she was on, and it's the first mission actually that Anakin, and I'll shout out to Charlie from Emergency Awesome for calling this out. It's from the movie. And it's the first mission that Anakin is in charge,
Mhm.
so it's kind of like a first for both of them. And he's talking about leadership a lot. It's something that she's currently facing. Remember, she left. She did lead a charge, and that was in the defense of of Mandalore. We all know how that went. But other than that, she really hasn't been in charge of much. Her own clone troopers were kind of like they were led by her. They painted their face orange in respect to her, but that was Rex's crew. Like, let's be real, it's the best of the best that she got, so she got lucky. But she's having to step up against the odds again, and so yeah, she's having to face some inside demons, and it's gonna be pretty cool to see how this evolves her.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what this episode was, right? Was for the longest time since where we kind of left her in Clone Wars and then through Rebels to this episode, she was like a Jedi by name only. Like she
Right.
never even considered herself a Jedi. And right, I mean, Mando calls her, he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for a Jedi," and all that stuff, right? But I think this is her transforming back into a Jedi. And I think we were talking about this
We
offline
were.
a little bit, where it's like she fully has to accept what she's been through. And like in this episode, go through a lot of trauma as a little kid
Mhm.
in battle and relive all of these things, accept it, say, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to make this all of me, become this Jedi, and then go out and do what I need to do. And, ooh, man, it just got me in the feels.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You're so right, because Ahsoka in Clone Wars, we see her, given a lot of responsibility. Any Jedi during the Clone Wars phase was a leader of some way and had a lot of responsibility. Of course, has turned against her. The Jedi Council basically didn't trust her, and she left when she found out that she doesn't have their back fully. Because Jedi's have to be they have to be above that. They have to be more responsible than others. So then, since then, she's been on her own in a lot of ways. Even when she was Fulcrum in Rebels, she was sure the glue that was uniting all the rebels, but they were the rebels. Like she wasn't in charge of anything. She was more of an informant and out on her own. And
Yeah.
so we're
Oh,
now seeing her. Well, we're now seeing her with actual responsibility again. And it's like, look, if you want to do that, like you can't walk away anymore. Now you have to walk towards them and lead and actually have people around you and be okay with losses and understand that they are your fault. But how can you improve? So many things that Anakin wanted to teach her all the way through and had to finish that training. And I think he did it here.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in Tales of the Jedi, the reason she became Fulcrum in Rebels was because that war, the Empire got so far and she was on those outer rim planets and the war had got to her that she had
Mhm.
no choice but to face it, right? And
Yeah.
then face and fight. And I love that at some point in here too, I love when they're in the war between worlds because Anakin says, let's see, you still have a chance to live, right? And
Mhm.
then we get to that first phase from the first mission, and he's like, "Do you, you know?" She says to him, "What if I don't want to fight anymore?"
Right.
And I'm like, damn, like she's had to fight her whole damn life to
Yeah.
get through everything, to get through, even when she was just trying to be a farmer on that one planet and then the Inquisitor comes after her. It's like she didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like she's old man Logan. Like she deserves some peace,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Jonathan, how far are you on your Rebels journey?
Oh, I think I'm on episode 6.
Okay, so first season still. So you're
Yeah.
learning a lot about Sabine right now and kind of
Mhm.
her rebellious side too. Season 2 is when Ahsoka comes in. Season 2 episode like 1 and 2 are pretty amazing. That's when Ahsoka learns about Darth Vader's identity.
Mhm.
So you're about to hear a lot about all this. What is your take on this relationship from somebody who hasn't been keeping up with Clone Wars
Between Ahsoka and Anakin.
and Anakin? Yeah.
I mean, this kind of fleshed it out. I didn't really understand how they. I mean, I heard that he was her she was his Padawan and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but this kind of, I guess, exposes a depth to it
Yeah.
that I don't know. I do like how in this battle too we see Anakin in his different seasons of life or his the
Yes.
different versions of him, and he starts as like her mentor, her whatever you call it, trying to teach her, and then master. There you go, and then how do I not know that word? And then progressively him turning to the dark side and trying to turn her as well. Like they did a really good job at like showing that transition throughout their battle. It's pretty cool.
The key that I think learning their relationship that we know from Clone Wars especially is the fact that they were very good friends and almost kind of like the brother sister relationship where they would kind of pick at each other in a very loving way. There was this
Mhm.
almost kind of just like, they were more so than I think that was between Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that's really important. And I found that they were really giving clues to that during this as somebody who already knew it. And so I was wondering if that came through to you. If you saw that like, oh, these two were actually very good friends and also a master and apprentice.
Yeah. Well, so it seemed to me, and just because I don't know any better, that Anakin was different than who I thought he was
Yeah.
from watching the other movies. It's because, like you're saying, I guess maybe that's what it is. The relationship was totally different. So he seems a lot more, and I thought they just developed his character more in the show, but he was more like playful and interactive versus when he was just a Padawan and he would just follow orders and
Yeah.
wasn't yeah, I don't know. He's just a different character now, but better, I think.
Yeah.
Well called out. I just want to mention this, Jonathan. You nailed it right there. That's going to mention is Hayden Christensen, the actor who plays, of course, Anakin and then Darth Vader,
Mhm.
even said that he had to watch Clone Wars to really learn Anakin Skywalker. So
Mhm.
he adjusted his acting based off of the voice actor and the animators for Clone Wars. And I think we see it here because, I mean, this Hayden Christensen, and I was messaging you like 2 o'clock in the morning, this Thomas. It's amazing how much growing up and prequels are coming out. There's a lot of hate for him because he did act it a little flat and the role was kind of, hey, you have to go from annoying kid to the most feared person in the galaxy, good luck with that. And now that generation's older and can appreciate him, it's so much better. And we see his acting prowess when like you could see the kindness in his face when he's Anakin, and then you
Mhm.
see the rage in his face when he's Darth Vader. And it's like they don't even need to change his eyes, really. It's all actually in face acting. Hayden
Mhm.
Christensen just nailed his performance.
Yes. I'm a little bit like on the fence where I'm like, it's not about his performance because I agree with you 100%. I think his performance was incredible in this one.
Mhm.
But I'm like, maybe he wasn't as good of an actor during those original movies.
True.
Maybe it was the writing. Maybe it was how he was directed. But now we've gotten Dave Filoni, who's had so much time with Anakin and
Yes.
developing Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship that when he came in and they got Hayden Christensen back, I'm sure Dave Filoni was like, "This is how you should do it."
Yeah.
And Hayden's had time to practice. I mean, we just saw him in Obi-Wan.
Immature. Yeah.
He's been to all these conventions since the last movie he was in till now. He knows the love for the characters. He knows how passionate people are. He's proud of the role. I think that he's just been able to develop in so many ways, and Filoni as well,
Mhm.
because this is a perfect encapsulation of both of them at their peaks working together. And I mean, and I'm throwing Rosario Dawson in there too, because her Ahsoka at this level, man, even how good was little Ahsoka?
Oh
Like I,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of what that actress's name is, but she was
No
in
clue.
Barbie. She was in Infinity War Endgame as young Gamora. That
Oh, that's
girl,
right. I forgot about Gamora.
she,
Yeah.
yeah, she is incredible. Like she's like collecting IP like Infinity
Yeah.
Stones. Like she's gonna be in more billion-dollar movies than Zoe Saldana soon because
Watch out,
she's
Transformers.
yeah, yeah. But she's incredible, man. And
Yeah.
him acting down to her when she's a kid, and then acting, and then Rosario acting up to him as peers when they finally get out of the whole uh, layers, dream sequence, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Man, so good. So good.
Let's talk about the fighting because I made a TikTok this morning. I was just so freaking hyped on this show, guys. I had to make a TikTok kind of talking about the fight scenes. And I love how prequel it was. My God, it's so cool. Again, like I remember when they did the new trilogy, the newer one with Rey and stuff like that. They're like, oh, we're gonna ditch the whole prequel dancing. But this one, he still spun that lightsaber behind him. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I loved. I love seeing Maul do that too. It was cool to see that again.
And if nothing else, I don't know why people don't like it. It's an intimidation tactic. Like
Yeah.
you get them on the defense because you're showing off how good you are with the lightsaber. So it's a strategy.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
in basketball when you dribble the ball between your legs. It doesn't
Yeah.
help you in basketball, but it shows the other guy like I'm gonna punk your ass right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. I want to say, I think this is the best lightsaber choreography we've ever gotten. Like,
Yeah,
I'll stand
Mustafar
by
was
that.
my top before this. This is
Right.
probably beating Mustafar now, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, because what I think it did well was you took some of that awesome, intricate choreography that only Jedis would be able to do with a blade that could chop off any limb at any time.
Mhm.
And then they brought in this powerful element where it feels like Game of Thrones in a way.
Yeah.
Like when Balin Skull is swinging that sword and he's attacking Ahsoka in episode 4, it seems super strong.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward to this when they first get into the world between worlds. Man, when Anakin goes after Ahsoka with a blue lightsaber, he seems so freaking strong and fast. It's the most powerful I felt like I've seen Anakin with a lightsaber in live action.
I want
Like,
to
I don't
add
even
to that
think,
though. When he's
yeah.
when he's using the red lightsaber, he switches how he fights to Darth Vader. You notice that at
Yeah.
that point it's forceful, swings all the way through.
Yeah.
He's not fancy. He is using his rage to impose himself on you.
Right.
Top notch.
Yes. Yes. Some of the best. Absolutely. This whole series.
Of course, of course. And then there's the imagery that's been going around on Twitter and whatnot of or X, what do you guys want to call it? I don't care. Where he brings the lightsaber in on Ahsoka, and she has to make that decision. This is a choice that we've seen Luke Skywalker make both in the tree and then at the very end of Return of the Jedi, where will he, fall into the dark side, and really life will be a lot easier for him and not everybody around him. We've seen Anakin get this choice as well, and it didn't go well for him. And we've always seen this choice come up, and here it is for Ahsoka. And the way she leans in on the lightsaber so that you see the red of her eyes, which is what happens to a Sith when they accept it. We saw in episode 3, as Vader's walking up the Jedi Temple, his eyes are different. And here it is. And she kind of leans in. I think it wasn't like real. I think it was just a visual interpretation of what she's facing, but it was cool visual effect. And then she's like, nope, I choose to live. I will be a Jedi. And then we see like right away, his face falls back to Anakin. Then he looks down and his eyes are back to Anakin, which shows that he's more than just a Force ghost, guys. He's something special.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I'm most confused about. And I like it. I'm not saying I even want an answer for this. I don't even know if I do.
Yeah.
Because it's like normally we see Force ghosts and they got the blue tint around him, right? We don't get that this time with him. And also, there's something that he says. Let me try to find it really, really quick. I'm here to. Oh, so she goes, "Oh, I don't want to fight you," when they first see each other, and he goes, "I've heard that before." So this Anakin
Yeah,
has already met Luke Skywalker because that's what Luke says to him.
yeah, because
But
that's Luke
also,
that said
like,
that.
he's
Yeah,
not in the suit. So is he a Force ghost? Is this purely a place where time doesn't matter? And whoever you are, want to be in that moment, that's who you are. Or is that how? I don't know. It was really interesting, and like that line really stuck out
yeah.
to me.
Well said. Anything else we want to call out before we call it a day?
Just the once they go in and they do, is it Jonah who goes in the whale's mouth?
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
they do the Jonah, I love the when she's talking to Hera and she says, "I'll find them, I promise." And then she says, "May the force be with you." Oh boy.
Mm.
Oh boy. That was let's go. That fired me up, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys think they would ever
Huge goosebump
redo
moments.
all of like Clone Wars or Rebels in live action now that this is doing so good?
I don't know if like the time they might have missed out on the time for that though. Because
Mm.
everybody is getting a little older.
I think yeah, I think they would redo it, but not Dave Filoni. I think let's fast forward 15, 20 years when Star Wars, somebody else is running Star Wars and they're out of ideas. They're like, you know what? Dave Filoni made a bunch of cartoon shit. Let's make this all live action. I think that's when we'll get it all at that point.
That sucks. That's too far away. I want to watch it right now.
That's gonna make me a very happy 50-year-old though.
Yeah,
Where I'm
right?
like, oh my God, I watched all these cartoons 20 years ago. This is
Or they're gonna
amazing.
botch it, and you're gonna be really pissed off 50-year-old. Like, why'd you ruin my favorite show?
Yeah, yeah. Dang it. I hope it's not that.
Yeah.
Man, if Dave Filoni has a little bit of his hand on it in some way where he truly is the Padawan of George Lucas, man, who knows? He could be running this for a long time. Masterful job at writing this show, and then an even more masterful job in some ways of directing a very action-packed episode with a lot of emotional weight. And I think he nailed it. Well, all right,
Right.
everybody. Let us know what you think about episode 5. The answer should probably only be it's amazing or super amazing. Anything else? At me. And hopefully be back with us next week. We have another episode coming out on Friday and some other fun things in store. So thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time on Challenge Accepted.